We're about 3 weeks away from Election Day. People in eastern Washington are voting on Washington's 5th congressional seat, which Cathy-mcmorris-rodgers has held since 2004.
Democrat Dave Wilson has run against her before for that same seat, and he's giving it another go. This year, he faces another challenge, the pandemic. Mayor Kawash explains how that's changing the race and answers your questions about these candidates.
It's already difficult to take down an incumbent in any election race, but that becomes even more of a challenge when you can't even knock on people's doors. Dave Wilson is no stranger to these election races, but even he admitted today this one is unlike any other.
We're not doing any real doorbelling, so all of our events are either on Zoom or over the phone. I haven't been on the phone this much since I was a teenager.
Dave Wilson says the pandemic has created some positives too, like less travel. Now, we asked Cathy-mcmorris-rodgers how her campaign is adjusting to this race, but we're told she was not available. Wilson is trying to sway voters by saying it's time for a change. Some of those voters sent us questions for each candidate. Victoria asked this question. With threat of Obamacare being repealed, how are you going to support those with pre-existing conditions to make sure coverage is affordable? We took that question straight to Dave Wilson, and he believes there's still hope for the Supreme Court to protect Obamacare. If it doesn't, he thinks there's a chance to go back and make the law stronger.
We still have too many people not covered, and in my mind, health care should be a right, not a privilege. And so that's the direction we need to move in, and we need to make sure people with pre-existing conditions are covered.
We had to go to McMorris-Rodgers' campaign site to get her stance on the issue. The Congresswoman opposes Obamacare, but stands against taking away health care for those with pre-existing conditions. A statement from her website says, "We should replace the current law with common sense, market-based solutions to increase health care access and lower costs for all Americans." She goes on to say we should allow businesses to pool together to buy insurance and allow insurance to be sold across state lines. McMorris-Rodgers also says she's determined to protect those with pre-existing conditions because her son has one. Marie asked this question, how do you propose tackling the rural connectivity issue? McMorris-Rodgers believes it starts with correct mapping from the FCC. She led the Broadband Data Improvement Act, which revamped federal mapping to help rural areas. Now, Wilson says he can get behind another bill, the Rural Connectivity Advancement Program. That would require the FCC to emphasize internet access for tribal lands. It would also force the FCC to report how funds are given out each year and require them to address gaps in internet access across those rural areas. Now, that bill is still just in its starting stages. Now, we have plenty more questions that you guys sent in just today that we're going to get to over the next several weeks leading up to this election. Aaron?